Information shared on the following program is for general information purposes only. It does not constitute legal, tax, investment, or other advice, nor is it intended to recommend any particular investments, products, or financial instruments. Always seek advice from your financial advisor, attorney, or accountant with regard to investment, legal, or tax questions.
Welcome to the only show in the country dedicated to helping savers worry less about money, the WorryFree Retirement, with your host, nationally recognized retirement specialist and six-time author and fiduciary, Tony Walker.
The word for the day is fiduciary. According to Webster's, in its simplest definition, a fiduciary is someone who is held or founded in trust and confidence. Or as I like to say, someone that you would competently leave in charge to take care of your stuff and handle your stuff as their own stuff, to act in your best interest. And nowhere is the word fiduciary so important than when it comes to stuff like the money you have saved for your retirement. Yes, the most important financial decision you're ever going to make, who to turn over your life savings or your stuff in retirement. And it's got to have as its core question this very question: will the person you trust with your money act in your best interest or not? Well, one way to find out before taking that fateful financial plunge into retirement is to at least confirm that the advisor in whom you're about to trust is a fiduciary, someone who is obligated by law to work in your best interest. So, what is a fiduciary, and what are some examples of what to look for in an advisor before investing your money with them? Well, let's find out. Well, welcome folks to the WorryFree Retirement, and yes, I am that little man in the sweater vest, longtime fiduciary and retirement planning specialist, Tony Walker. And today we are going to share with you the importance of working with not only a fiduciary, but also why having an experienced and well-trained retirement planning firm in your corner is the key to being worry-free in retirement. But before we get started, let's introduce three folks in the WorryFree studios who are acting in my best interest to put this show on each week. America's favorite financial sidekick, Mr. Aaron Orender. Louisville, Kentucky's most laid-back graphics artist, Mr. Derek Hudson. And our associate producer, Miss Meek and Mild, Mary Beth Combs. Okay, so let's set the stage of most hard-working, red-blooded Americans who, for the past 30 or 40 years, have slaved away at work and now come to the biggest financial decision they're ever going to make. Who are they going to trust with their life savings? Let that sink in for a moment, because apparently, by the looks of many of you who I meet for the first time who are quickly throwing your money at the first advisor you meet, this has not even occurred to you. This notion that you have worked and saved all these years and then in one fell swoop, possibly right after a nice advisor maybe springs for a $50 steak dinner, or maybe an insurance agent or advisor gleefully shows you a product offering you a free bonus, only to anticipate you'll be so naive that you just blindly turn over your life savings to them to invest. And worse yet, here's another instance I see play out. Savers who willingly give their retirement savings to some advisor who is not even required by law to work in your best interest. I mean, come on now. Does that make any sense whatsoever, to work with someone who is not required by law to put your best interest ahead of theirs? Well, of course not, which is why for the next 25 minutes or so, I'm going to share with you who is actually a fiduciary, what requirements that a fiduciary is under, and why, assuming you are retired or nearing retirement, you're going to want to work with a fiduciary to handle your money. Good stuff coming your way. I'm Tony Walker. You're watching the Worry-Free Retirement. We'll be right back. Have you recently retired, been laid off, or offered a pension buyout? Has the company you work for moved, been acquired, or closed its doors forever? And finally, do you have a 401k with a previous employer you'd like to move to safer territory? Then take advantage of this opportunity to move your 401k or lump sum pension to Tony Walker Financial. Let's meet in person to discuss your retirement options. Log on now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com to schedule your free, no obligation appointment. Let us help you today. With over 10,000 people turning 65 each and every day, you can bet your sweet bippy that the financial world has their financial sights set on your 401k plan. How do I know this? Well, take a look at this article encouraging advisors to get into the retirement planning market as if it's something extra they ought to do. Translation, when you boil it down, these 10,000 people have trillions of dollars locked up in these 401ks that a lot of advisors are licking their chops over. Now, this was interesting. This was written to advisors from this particular magazine, and here's what they're telling advisors to do considering all these people retiring. Number one, basically they're saying there's lots of money out there and let's not neglect it. Now, that's one reason to get into the retirement planning field. Number two, continuous contributions. We're going to see this in a minute. What they mean is continuous fees you can charge on these 401k plans. Number three, you likely already have much of the knowledge and the network. Now, I would question this. To me, for a financial advisor to all of a sudden get into the retirement planning business, compared to us doing this for 20 years and all the things we've learned, it's not that easy, folks, just to jump into the business. And finally, I kind of remind people, yep, there's gold in them there hills. What they're saying is advisors can gain access to a lot of other monies by getting their foot in the door, pretending to be retirement planning specialists. So it's a huge issue. So not only do we want to make sure people are fiduciaries, but we also have to understand what are the rigorous requirements required of people like Tony Walker Financial who are fiduciaries, and what laws and regulations are we under to make sure that we're working in the best interest of the clients we serve. Well, to help us out understand this whole fiduciary thing is none other than my favorite son-in-law, Mr. Trey Juergens, who is not only a salaried fiduciary here at Tony Walker Financial, he also happens to be our Chief Compliance Officer. So good morning, Trey.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome, Trey. So first of all, just describe your role as the Chief Compliance Officer of Tony Walker Financial.
Yeah, so Chief Compliance Officer, my biggest job is just to make sure we're doing everything we're supposed to be doing for the SEC, who regulates us as an independent advisor.
And so what requirements are we as fiduciaries under that, let's say, other firms or advisors who choose not to be fiduciaries?
Right. So we have to file all the appropriate paperwork to be regulated under the SEC. That's our ADV documents, all of the annual filings. We're subject at any point to an SEC examination. We actually just had our initial examination, which went very well. We just have to keep on top of things and have the proof that we're doing so.
And speak to the volumes of time and money and effort that we have to put in as a firm to remain compliant, and why, of course, I would think anybody would be glad that we're taking those efforts in terms of our commitment to be fiduciaries and looking out for their best interest.
Right. Whether it's my time, your time, our staff's time, we have consultants that we have hired on to assist us in this. It's a very important process. We also have had attorneys that have been involved. So there's a lot of expense that goes in to staying on top of all these things.
And it's not just that. We spend a lot of time and money and effort making sure clients and prospective clients are educated about their options. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing even with the production studio and making sure that all of our information is out there for people to view.
We have a lot of educational resources on our website or YouTube channel. We have our blog on the website, the WorryFree Retirement blog, as well as some new tips from our staff, the tips to retire worry-free. It's a lot of great resources for those looking to learn more about Tony Walker Financial.
And Trey, we appreciate all you're doing, also, from not only just advising clients, but your Chief Compliance Officer role and assisting the production company in getting on those tips and all the things that you do. So thank you so much, and you make it a good one.
Yeah, happy to do it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, speaking of trying to educate savers about their options, Trey mentioned our new retirement tips that we just launched that you can watch on either TonyWalkerFinancial.com or on our YouTube channel. In fact, let's take a look at one of these tips from one of our staff right now.
My name is Jennifer Jaggers, and my job at Tony Walker Financial is to ensure that the annuities our clients purchase are organized and in good order for the binders they receive at their delivery appointment. These binders are made easy to review, not only for the clients, but for their loved ones as well, when and if that time should arise. I come from a banking background and have been with Tony Walker Financial for 3 years now. And I can tell you that as a fiduciary, Tony works hard to make sure that any annuity purchased is a good fit for that particular person and their unique circumstances. As he always says, there is no one size fits all. In fact, we work with approximately 6 to 8 different companies, which offer around 20 different types of annuities. With that being said, my advice to anyone who is shopping for an annuity is to not rush into buying and be sure to get a second opinion from Tony Walker Financial before placing your hard-earned money into just any annuity.
Great job, JJ. Okay, when I come back, everybody's worried about inflation. What if I could show you a way to combat the effects of inflation and doing nothing different with your investments other than lowering your fees? Some good stuff coming your way. I'm Tony Walker. I'll be right back.
Have yourself a merry little Christmas.
WorryFree Music presents the greatest collection of Christmas covers ever assembled.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Hey!
Tony Walker's A Humdinger Christmas. 486 timeless classics across 6 digitally remastered 8-track tapes.
Happy holidays!
Every song fills your home with holiday magic.
Sing ding-a-ding, ring ding-a-ding, ding ding-a-ding, dong ding-a-ding, ring ding-a-ding, ding ding-a-ding, ring ding-a-ding, ring ding-a-ding.
Don't miss this opportunity to receive Tony Walker's A Humdinger Christmas, the perfect way to celebrate the joy of this holiday season.
Dashing through the snow, hey, and one horse open sleigh, yeah.
Only $685 plus $3 shipping and handling. Order yours today.
8-track tape player not included. Offer void where prohibited.
And from all of us at Tony Walker Financial, have a Merry Christmas.
Are you retired or retiring soon? Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch all of our latest educational content and previous shows of the WorryFree Retirement. Just log on to youtube.com and search Tony Walker Financial. Our Live Well Die Broke moment comes to us following one of our recent client events in Louisville, Kentucky that featured, besides yours truly in a sweater vest, this beautiful lifelike cardboard cutout of, that's right, a little man in a sweater vest, who following the night's event graced his presence with 2 of our clients in Louisville, Sheila and Jerry Smith. Oh, incidentally, it's funny, Sheila and I were classmates all the way back in high school some 40 years ago. I don't think we've changed much if you ask me.
Whatever.
All right, let's keep moving. We got a Tony in the Trenches that's really good, and it's going to be a springboard into dealing with this thing called inflation. Let's take a look at this. Rob out of Louisville says, I'm really feeling the effects of inflation on my retirement income. And here you talk about your low fees offered by Charles Schwab. If I put my money with a money manager, basically what's Rob's saying, and let's say we're going to go over some fees in just a second, versus putting my money with Tony Walker Financial, what in the world does that have with combating inflation? So what I'm going to do here, I had our own Heather Hughes work on that. This is really good. We're going to imagine, okay, you have 2 scenarios. You have a choice. You can work with, we'll call them the other guys. That's your typical money manager. Or you can invest your 401k or other assets with Tony Walker Financial. So let's take a look at the parameters we're under here. Now the other guys, what we're saying is between their fees, which are average about 1.5%, plus let's assume they have some expense ratios of the mutual funds they're using. So let's say on average their fee is 2% per year. Now remember, they're going to charge and we're going to charge our fees whether you do better or do worse. So keep that in mind. But if you'll notice under TWF or Tony Walker Financial, our fees including the ETFs and other selections we choose through Charles Schwab, average only about 0.9%. The thing is, if you had $500,000 and you look at this, most people really don't understand what these fees are. They don't understand the effects of the account. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this down. Again, person A goes to the other guys. They have a $500,000 401k plan. They have no idea what the effects of fees are, or they take that same $500,000 and turn it over to Tony Walker Financial. And you think, well, the fees aren't that much lower. Surely this shouldn't make that big a difference. And again, Tony, how does this help me impact inflation? All right, the next period we're going to go is 20 years. So assuming you had this same amount of money with money manager A, the other guys, or money manager B, us, for 20 years, and let's say on average, we got to use everything being equal so I can compare this, each of us earns for you 5% before fees, okay? So you got it, don't go any further, Derek. We got 2% charged per year on the money manager, total of 0.9% for us. We're all under the same parameters. We each have $500,000. We each hold on to it for 20 years, and we each make 5% on your money. So let's start with the other guys, all right? What is what's called the future value in 20 years versus us, okay? Your account, look at this, folks, your account would only have $885,000. Our account, over $1.1 million. Now, I want you to look at that a minute, and you're thinking, how could that even be? Because of the darn fees. So folks, I got to ask you something. You're out here chasing returns and you're trying to find anything that combats inflation. You're putting money at risk. Many of you are investing in things you don't even understand. Many of you are rushing out and buying bonus annuities, which bonus annuities have their place, but you don't buy a bonus annuity trying to offset losses you've had in the market or combat inflation. You possibly are just setting yourself up for more misery. Here's what you have to do with these fees to understand. Let's see the difference here, Derek. All we did is we took the amount of money we would have as a result of saving you on fees, we subtract that from what you would have with the other guys, and what we have to determine is the cost. So this cost you $221,000. So what that means is, this is called opportunity cost. Don't let this baffle you. It's not that complicated. What that means is, because we charge less in fees, more money stayed in the account, more money earned interest, and that meant that you would have with us over $220,000 more money to spend and enjoy to combat the fears of inflation. So I got to ask you a question, folks. If you're sitting here and you're out here rambling around and you're trying to find higher returns and you're throwing money left and right and you're scared to death of inflation, many of you are rushing to buy gold and silver. I mean, folks, that's not the answer at all. If you're a saver and you're sitting there and you're worried about your money and you're more concerned about the return of it than on it, well, then you've got to understand how opportunity cost works. And what we do at Tony Walker Financial, where we're different than the other guys, is we attack cost. So where do you get started in this process? You see things like this. You maybe have a 40-page statement you don't understand. You're out here getting ready to turn over your life savings to people that, number one, may not even be fiduciaries, and number two, don't know a thing about retirement planning. Well, let me make you a free offer. What if you could visit with the president of the company that has more than 38 years of experience, has met in person with over 15,000 savers, and is trained in what we call opportunity cost? What if we could get some of this money back in the way of fees and taxes and insurance premiums that you're throwing out the back door? Well, I would want to know, if I were you, how to do that. And here's all you have to do right now. If you want to take advantage of what we call the free 10-minute fiduciary phone call, just log on right now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. And when you get there, just click on that Let's Get Started button. We will contact you, and that's right, I will arrange a call with you for 10 minutes to see what's going on and how we might be able to help. Now, if it looks like I can help you with these types of things, if we can help you worry less about money, increase maybe the rates of return, lower your fees, keep your taxes down, all the things a retirement planning firm such as Tony Walker Financial does, then I will meet with you in person at either our Bowling Green, Louisville, or Lexington, Kentucky offices. And what we'll do, we'll go over your situation, again at no charge, and we will provide you a free written game plan that you can study and think about and decide if Tony Walker Financial is the firm you wish to trust with your money. So right now, log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com or call either phone number located at the bottom of your screen. Well, what does the Bible have to say about this notion of following after the herd and possibly doing things you wished you hadn't done? Jesus has some interesting things to say about this. Good stuff coming your way. Looks like I need another cup of coffee. You're watching the Worry-Free Retirement. I'll be right back.
With the uncertainty of the stock market, our nation's debt spiraling out of control, and inflation running rampant, now may be the best time to consider moving your 401k to safer territory. My name is Tony Walker, and for over 38 years I've made it my life's mission to help savers worry less about money, and I want to help you too. To speak with me at no cost or obligation, why don't you log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com or simply call the toll-free number on your screen. Hey folks, four-time author and retirement specialist Tony Walker here, and if you're like me, you enjoy reading funny stories to your grandkids, which is why I'm excited to announce the publication of my latest book, The Adventures of Tony Baloney and Cookie. And while my latest book has nothing to do with money, it will bring you and your kids many laughs and memories that will last a lifetime. So order your copy of The Adventures of Tony Baloney and Cookie from any major bookseller and watch the fun begin. After witnessing 3 straight years of stock market declines, some 20 years ago I began offering fixed annuities as a safe alternative to avoiding risk. Call it dumb luck or being at the right place at the right time. As one of the first advisors in the country to start focusing on using fixed annuities within the planning process, I've developed a reputation around the country as someone who knows a thing or two about annuities. And while I'm proud of all my sales accomplishments and the more than $500 million of annuities I've helped to put in place for clients, if truth be known, I didn't wake up in 2002 and all of a sudden make it my life's ambition to be a top annuity producer. It just sort of happened, and something to this day that still amazes me. And I must attribute much of the success in the field of annuities to not just a lot of hard work, but also being blessed with a staff that can handle all the service issues that comes along with servicing over 3,000 annuities. Due to our reputation and success in the field of retirement planning and how to use annuities properly, years ago I was asked by a large insurance company to come and speak to over 500 of their top producers on this very subject. And since at that time I was seeing a growing trend of agents not representing these products correctly, and thus I was getting concerned that many savers were not being told the whole story about annuities, both the pros and the cons, I decided to title my talk to these advisors as "You're Either Ignorant or Unethical. Which is it?" Which, upon hearing this title, some in the audience were less than enthusiastic. Well, I guess as they say, if the shoe fits, wear it. I explained that word, of course, as ignorance, simply meaning this: a lack of understanding, which, assuming some of these agents did not understand all of the complexities offered up by these annuities they were selling, was still no excuse for not educating themselves on how annuities actually work and what the saver should know about them. Either way, I was doing my best to remind these advisors that our goal was not to see how many annuities we could sell, but to try as best we could to make sure that the saver client was purchasing the annuity that was right for them. And while the Bible has nothing to say about this word fiduciary, nor advice on which annuity we might want to purchase, it does have a lot to say about following the lead of others who possibly do not have our best interests at heart. Check it out in Proverbs 18:17, where it says, "The first to plead his case seems just." That might be the unscrupulous financial advisor who doesn't tell you all the pros and cons of the investments they're selling. It goes on to say, "Until another comes and examines him." That might be us, a fiduciary, providing you a second opinion. In Matthew chapter 15, Jesus expresses his frustration with the religious leaders of the day who were not acting in the people's best interest by reminding them to do this: first hear, then understand. Sounds like pretty good advice to me. So how did the religious folks respond to Jesus' statement? Well, in verse 12, they did what most do when exposed to the truth of their actions. They took offense. So how did Jesus respond to their taking offense?
Did he run over and apologize? Did he tell his followers to just go along with him? Did he continue to argue with them? No, he simply said this: let them alone, or as another version says, disregard them. Why? Because they are blind guides of the blind. And if a blind man guides a blind man, both will fall into a pit. Or as the old saying goes, they were the blind leading the blind.
Heavy.
Which is a warning shot over the bow throughout Scripture. There will always be blind guides leading blind people. The key is you just don't want to be one of them. You don't want to be played for a fool in the process. Or, as I wrote about in one of my books, Don't Follow the Herd, you don't want to be the one following someone else over the proverbial cliff. So what's the answer, Tony? And how do I know if the financial products I'm being presented for me are in my best interest or maybe in the best interest of the advisor selling them? Well, first, you need to be sure that the advisor is a fiduciary, someone who is required by law to work in your best interest. Second, assuming you are dealing with your 401k or other large sums of money in retirement, be sure that the advisor is actually experienced in the art of retirement planning. And then finally, in a perfect world, be sure that the advisor is independent and has a full-time staff to assist you to deal with the changes that will come with retirement. Because as someone who has personally met in person with over 15,000 savers, watched the lives of these thousands of savers play out in retirement, the one thing I can promise you is this: change will come. And you certainly don't want to be one of those blind people being led by other blind men. Amen. So, what's the first step in our process of helping so many savers at Tony Walker Financial? Well, we first need to talk, and we've made this real easy, and best of all, it is free and comes without any obligation. We call it the free 10-minute fiduciary phone call. And to take advantage of this free offer to talk to me in person, all you got to do is one of two things. You can log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, and when you get there, just click on that Let's Get Started button. Now, what happens is that information confidentially goes to our offices in Bowling Green, Kentucky. We will reach out to you and schedule that free 10-minute phone call with myself. And if it warrants, I'll be happy to meet with you in person to provide a free financial game plan at either our Bowling Green, Louisville, or Lexington, Kentucky offices. And if the internet's not your thing, let me give you a couple of numbers you can try to call. First, you can dial our toll-free number at 877-499-9255 or simply call 270-843-9380. Well, that's all the time we have for today. I certainly have enjoyed being with you, but you remember, between now and next week, if all else fails, you be worry-free. Make it a good one.